Calderon Boxing Talk.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment, and we're about to get into this week's boxing talk. This Saturday, November 25th, Thanksgiving weekend, it's a night of boxing on HBO from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's the return of the Krusher, going for his WBO vacant light heavyweight title that he once held, the one that Andre Ward just relinquished when he retired, and it's a chance for Sergey Kovalev to get right back into the mix, right where he left off as the best 175-pounder in the world. Does he still have what it takes to be on top of the division? We don't know. He's going up against Ukrainian Sharbranskyy. This is a fight where Sharbranskyy is a guy that hasn't looked that good in his recent fights he had against Sullivan Barrera, who is also fighting on the undercard. He got stopped. He was a promising guy coming up in the division, and now he's going up against Sergey Kovalev. He has a great opportunity because of Golden Boy Promotions, and now he has to see if he's going to be able to beat the Krusher and capture that world title. But Sergey Kovalev is coming into this fight with a whole different trainer now, a new team. He's left John David Jackson for this new trainer that he has once worked with in the Russian amateur rankings, and now he looks to put on a very good, strong performance and recapture that WBO title that he once held. Can Sergey Kovalev bounce back from his back-to-back losses to Andre Ward? We saw about a year ago, last November, when Sergey Kovalev, an undefeated fighter, a guy that was a machine in there, very unstoppable, went up against the best, Andre Ward, and he lost in a very close 12-round decision. It was a controversial decision where I believe, my opinion, that he actually won that fight due to the knockdown against Andre Ward, but it was a close fight. Andre Ward battled back. He came back strong down the stretch where Sergey Kovalev just faded in the second half of this fight, and Andre Ward was awarded the decision victory and became light heavyweight champion of the world. Then their rematch took place about 7 months later, and it was a fight where Sergey Kovalev looked the same. He looked like a guy that couldn't adjust, and Andre Ward took over right where he left off, and he was able to beat down the Krusher with a brutal body attack in the later half of the fight where he was able to stop Sergey Kovalev. And I gotta tell you, I thought that was a controversial stoppage as well. Tony Weeks, a very good referee, I think made a bad call. You could clearly see in the replay where the punches landed below the belt line. They stopped the fight on a TKO victory for Andre Ward. Ward walked away with the light heavyweight crown and his second victory over Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev is now back to the drawing board, trying to see if he could bounce back mentally, because we don't know where his mental state is right now. Does he still have what it takes to be the top man at 175 pounds? Andre Ward now has retired from boxing, and he will go into the Boxing Hall of Fame one day as an undefeated fighter, two-division world champion, and an Olympic gold medalist. He's a great fighter, pound for pound, the best fighter of this generation for sure. And I tip my hats off for a great career for SOG. Even though I wasn't a big fan, and I did go for Sergey Kovalev in both fights, I did respect him enough to feel that he was pound for pound the best fighter in the world. I just felt that Sergey Kovalev got the short end of the stick in both fights. But now we have to see him bounce back and capture that WBO light heavyweight title. He should have a very good performance against Sharbranskyy. I don't see him having a lot of trouble with Sharbranskyy if he has something left in the tank. And then it's on to perhaps a showdown against Sullivan Barrera if he could get past his opponent this weekend on the undercard. They're both promoted by Main Event. It's a good fight to see if Sergey Kovalev is really a serious player back in the light heavyweight division, because a guy like Sullivan Barrera is a true test to see if he belongs at the top of the division. And then you have the big fights that are out there. Everyone wants to see Arthur Beterbiev, who just captured the IBF light heavyweight title against Sergey Kovalev. They have an old rivalry from the amateur rankings where Beterbiev beat him twice, and that's a fight that people would love to see. HBO is now pushing another young, undefeated light heavyweight champion in Demetrius Bivol. This is a guy right here that's coming up, and it's a good fight that could possibly happen sometime later in 2018 when these guys could collide. But there's a lot of great fights that are in the division of 175 pounds. Everybody has been wanting the fight between Adonis Stevenson and Sergey Kovalev, but that's a fight that I don't think that will ever happen unless Kovalev is able to manage to get back on top, win at least 2 world titles, and be back into the position where he once was to fight Adonis Stevenson. I know a lot of guys are giving Adonis Stevenson a lot of flack about not fighting the top guys in the division. Right now, we don't know what's the plans for Adonis Stevenson. His next fight is possibly going to take place in February of 2018. We don't know if it's going to be against Badou Jack, who's moving up from the super middleweight division to the light heavyweight division, or if it's going to be his mandatory, which is Alvarez. Alvarez has been waiting a very long time for his title shot opportunity against Adonis Stevenson, and it's a fight that should definitely happen, and we don't know if it's going to happen or if they're going to pay sidestep money to Alvarez so Alvarez can let the fight between Badou Jack and Adonis Stevenson take place. Either one of those fights is a step-up fight in the competition department for Adonis Stevenson. So we have to see if Superman is really still a force in the division and see if Sergey Kovalev could possibly string along some good wins and get back into contention to see if these fighters will finally meet someday down the road. But it's a very loaded division with a lot of talent, and I can't wait to see the Krusher because I'm a fan of the Krusher. He's a very exciting fighter, a bully in that ring, a very strong light heavyweight with very good punching power and a solid jab. He has good boxing technique, so I hope to see him bounce back very strongly and be right back into the mix against one of these big names in the near future sometime next year. Now, moving along, we're going to do a recap that took place over the past weekend with a couple of fights. First, we're going to start off with junior middleweight Julian J. Rock Williams, who made his return on the comeback trail ever since losing his fight to one of the Charlo brothers. He took on former world champion veteran Ishe Smith in a very, very tough fight. This was a good fight that took place on Bounce TV. You know, PBC put on this fight, and Julian J. Rock Williams is a very good, talented young fighter trying to get back. He showed a decent performance in this fight, you know, using his jab, using his quickness, letting his hands go. But Ishe Smith is a tough fighter for anybody at 154 pounds. This guy was putting on a lot of pressure on J-Rock. You know, Ishe Smith was throwing a lot of combinations in there, working the body and the head. Very tough guy, has a great chin. He has never been knocked out. J-Rock was trying to be the first one to knock him out, and he just couldn't get the job done. It went the distance, and J-Rock was awarded the unanimous decision. I know the scorecards were a little bit wide. It should have been a lot closer than that, and in my opinion, it could have been even a draw. But I'm not mad at the decision victory for J-Rock. I like J-Rock a lot. I think this was a good victory for him, and hopefully he gets into bigger and better fights down the road. A fight that I've been advocating and a fight that I would love to see right now is between another young fighter that's coming off a loss against one of the Charlo brothers, and that's Erickson the Hammer Lubin. That's a fight between these two young men, and eventually it's going to happen because these guys are on a collision course. The Charlo brothers have dominated the 154-pound division, and these guys are victim to the Charlo brothers, but I believe that they could string along a couple of victories here and there. I think that they will definitely meet up in a very big fight where both guys are super talented with good boxing skills and very good punching power, and it's an explosive matchup. Both guys are managed by Al Heyman, so it's a fight that shouldn't be difficult to make, especially on PBC. You know, these guys have fought on PBC and on Showtime quite a few times, so I look forward to these guys matching up in the near future. Now, another fight that took place overseas in Belfast, Ireland, was the return of the Jackal, Carl Frampton. Frampton went up against Mexico's Mauricio Garcia. This was a fight where Garcia, very tough guy, game fighter. This went 10 rounds. It wasn't an easy walkover fight for the Jackal. The Jackal was shaking off some ring rust after his loss against Leo Santa Cruz. He's also trying to get back into the mix. He was moving quite well, just using his boxing skills, his quickness, and landing his good hard power shots, getting the more effective, cleaner blows against the Mexican fighter. It wasn't that great of a performance. A win is a win nevertheless, and now he moves on to another big fight, hopefully in 2018. We don't know who he's gonna fight. Lee Shelby is out there, the IBF featherweight champion. That's a very big fight over there in the UK. You got Josh Wellington that's out there as well, a strong undefeated fighter that's coming up in the rankings, and he's possibly gonna have a mandatory shot against Lee Shelby first before Carl Frampton can get his hands on him. Leo Santa Cruz is the guy that he really wants. He wants that third fight trilogy. There has been talks with his new promoter, which is Frank Warren, and also Al Heyman, to try to set up a fight, hopefully in the summertime between these two. But first, possibly in March or April, you're going to have a rematch showdown between Abner Mares and Leo Santa Cruz. This is a fight where they're going to be putting up their WBA titles before a fight could happen for a guy like Carl Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz, or possibly even a fight between Abner Mares and Carl Frampton, because if Abner Mares could pull off that victory, then a fight between those two could possibly happen, and that's a very good matchup between either one of those guys. I'm a big fan of the Jackal, been watching him for a long time before he even came to the United States and made a name for himself, but there's other guys out there that if he really wants a title shot very soon, I think he should go after Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr., nobody's talking about this guy. He's very inactive. He's a guy that's super talented with tremendous hand speed and very good punching power. And if Carl Frampton could get him into the ring, because both guys are managed by Al Heyman, that could be a very big fight right here in the United States for the Jackal. Because if he could get past Gary Russell, then definitely a big fight unification with either one of these guys, Shelby or Leo Santa Cruz, could happen by the summertime. And it's nothing but big fights for Carl Frampton. And I can't wait to see this man get back into the ring against one of these big names right here. But that's my final take on the fights that took place and the upcoming fight that's taking place on HBO this weekend. Sharbranskyy versus the Krusher, Sergey Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight title. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this video right here. Calderon Boxing Talk on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button and also that like or share button. Make comments on the video. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, and join the Facebook boxing group page, all under the same name, Calderon Boxing Talk. I'm Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment. Thanks for your support. Keep watching and please subscribe.